What's going on, everybody? Fresh is here, and I know a lot of you are struggling trying to decide which class you want to play going into this next Fresh, or at least which class you want to play first. And that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to make a tier list talking about what I personally think are the most fun classes to level. There seems to be a different vibe going into this Fresh where not everyone is trying to meta chase. A lot of people are kind of treating this as a TBC waiting room. Maybe they're just going to PvP. Maybe they're just going to level a bunch of characters. So I figured it would be a good time to make this kind of a tier list. So without further ado, let's dive in. Okay, so here we have our tier list maker, and we're going to start off with Druid. Now, Druids are a lot of fun to level, in my opinion. Remember, this tier list is going to be my personal opinion. I've pretty much been playing this game for almost 20 years, about 19 years, and I have a general understanding of how most of these classes feel to level. So Druid, in my opinion, is going to go right up there in the S tier. And the reason for this is because Druids are a lot of fun. You can pretty much do everything. They're kind of like the jack of all trades, but master of none, right? You can play a caster, you can play a tank, you can play a physical DPS with cat form. You have tons of mobility. You could put some points into feline swiftness, and you have travel form, so you can get around the world pretty fast before hitting level 40 and getting your mount. You have like the most insane amount of utility possible. You bring a battle res. Every group brings a druid, especially while leveling. And honestly, bear form is one of the most solid tanks in the game for 5-man dungeons. So in my opinion, druids belong in the S tier, and let's not forget the fact that they are absolutely insane in world PvP if played correctly. So next up on the list here, we have the Hunter, right? The Hunter is definitely, in my opinion, one of the most easy classes to level 260. You can pretty much autopilot this and just send your pet in and auto shot. It's very, very easy. But the only thing with Hunter is that the problem with that is that in terms of fun, it does tend to get a little boring because of how easy it actually is. You're pretty much at no risk all the time. Like I said, you autopilot it. So the fun factor is definitely a little bit lower to me than the Druid. World PvP wise, while leveling, Hunters are an absolute blast. They slap in World PvP. You can kite people around for days. You can almost one-shot some casters with aim shot when you set up a nice aim shot crit. So in terms of fun, I'm going to put Hunters in the B tier. Again, my own personal opinion, and I would like to hear from you guys down in the comments what you guys think of this, where you would rank these classes. But yeah, in terms of fun, Hunters are in the B tier. For me, they're fun to level, but they tend to get a little boring after a while just due to how easy they really are. You do have some good mobility with Aspect of the Cheetah coming at level 20, so you can get around the world faster. But, you know, other people might find Hunters a lot more fun than me. I love Hunter, but I don't think it's the most fun class to level. I think it's a little bit boring. Now, next on the list, we have the Mage. Now, the Mage, this is going to be a pretty controversial one, right? You either love it or you hate it. There's people out there that love Mage AoE grinding. They love Mage World PvP because they're absolutely just bonkers in World PvP if played correctly. The leveling speed is super fast if you do learn how to AoE farm, but I wouldn't say that it's very easy. So most people don't do it. You definitely need to be like a little bit above average of a player to AoE farm effectively. But mages tend to be pretty fun. You have a wide variety of different spells that you use between your arcane, your fire, and your frost trees. So you're just hurling elements at people. It does tend to be pretty fun. However, the problem with it is that the massive drawback for mages is that you have an incredible amount of downtime due to mana issues, right? You are constantly sitting down to drink for like 1 to 2 minutes at a clip every time you do a big pull. And to me, this makes it seem a little boring. I wouldn't consider it to be the most fun. I'd actually rank Mage under Hunter in the B tier in terms of how fun it is to level. Now, the B tier isn't bad. I don't want you guys to think the B tier is bad. D tier is like bad, and we'll get to that in a minute. But it just means that it's not the most fun thing to level. And again, just my opinions. Now, moving on to the next class, the Paladin, right? The Paladin is probably one of, if not the most boring class to level in Vanilla WoW. I love the Paladin. There's something super magical about just auto attacking your way to level 60, but you really have like almost no damage abilities aside from judgment. You have some utility, obviously. You have tons of heals. It's a very strong class, a very strong 1v1er in world PvP, very strong duelist. It's really, it excels in world PvP, I would say. The 1v1s are like almost unmatched as Paladin. But in terms of fun factor here, that's what this tier list is about. It's not very fun to level unless you're like maybe leveling as prot and like AoE farming, but even then it's going to be super slow. Ret is just, like I said, you're just putting up Seal of Command and you're just auto attacking for days to kill mobs. So any of those like go kill 20 of these quests, they're really boring on Paladin in my opinion. Even though I love the class, I love Ret Paladin. I actually really enjoy Ret Paladin once TBC pre-patch comes in. It's a lot of fun in PvP, but leveling Ret Paladin in Vanilla WoW, definitely at the bottom of the fun list for me. That's going in the D tier. So next up we have Priest. I've never leveled a Priest to 60 in Classic WoW. It has never happened. I am very good friends with a Priest main, so I've seen it done a million times. I've played alongside of them a million times, but it definitely is not the most fun thing in the world. It's super safe. And after you get Shadow Form, definitely excels in world PvP. I would say the leveling speed is kind of average, if not a little bit slower than most. You're pretty much just maybe throwing up Shadow Word Pain or popping off a Mind Blast and then putting a bubble on yourself and wanding. It's very classic, if that makes sense. Very similar to like the Ret Paladin, but I think it's a little more fun than the Ret Paladin just because you do have more utility than the Ret Paladin, right? You have your Fear, you have your bubbles, you have Fear Ward, you're slapping in PvP out in the world. So I think Priest for me, in terms of fun, we're going to be putting Priest in the C tier. Next up, one of my personal favorites, we have the Rogue. Now the Rogue is definitely the squishiest of all classes in the earlier levels. Very hard to take on multiple mobs in terms of just face tanking damage, right? You're very squishy. You take a lot of damage, but on the upside, you also deal a hell of a lot of damage. You have stealth, you have vanish to get out of tricky situations, you have blind, you have so many different things. All of your poisons, your poison quests, there's some cool class lore questing going on with Rogue. You absolutely dominate the world PvP scene in a 1v1 or a 1v2 situation, maybe even 1v3 if you're that good. You can easily take on any opponents out in the world. You can stealth past crazy things to get some quest objectives done. I personally think Rogue is one of the most fun classes to level in Vanilla WoW. Let me know what you guys think. That's going up in the S tier. I'm putting it above Druid just because I love how strong it is in world PvP, and world PvP is a massive part of classic leveling. Now, next up on our list, we have the Shaman, another one of my personal favorites. This class really becomes my favorite in Burning Crusade and onward, but it is so much fun to level, but it's a little bit slower compared, like I said before, with the Paladin and the Priest. It kind of fits into that category, but once you get Wind Fury, things start to pick up a little bit. It's fun in world PvP. If you get some nice Wind Fury crits with a big two-hander and you just slap someone down in one hit, could be a lot of fun. You have your totem quests for some cool class lore going on there. You have your heals. You have Ghost Wolf to help you with your mobility to get around the world faster before you get your mount. I would say Shaman deserves to be up in the B tier in terms of fun. I'd actually put it in front of Mage, but again, this is all my personal opinions, and I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Seriously, I want to see if what I feel about these classes is pretty accurate to what most people feel. I know there's going to be some people out there who are like, Ret Paladins, Priests, S tier for me. Like, that's my favorite type of, leveling. That's my favorite way to play the game. That's fine too. But let's move on to the Warlock, right? The Warlock, I think, is a very fun class to level. You have all of your demons, you have your demon quests again, so you have some class lore there, you have your Infernal later on, Doomguard, you have so much stuff. There's so many different ways to also play Warlock. You can play it like tanky, you can play it bursty, you can play like a dot meta. There's a lot of different ways to play it, but at the end of the day, when you're leveling, let's really talk about the fact that you're going to be just throwing up some dots and you're sending your demon in and you're wanding, right? That's pretty much the majority of Warlock leveling. So it's not the most exciting thing in the world. The PvP on Warlock is really fun, in my opinion, in 1v1, 1v2 situations out in the world with Fear, and you get your Succubus, so you can put people to sleep or seduce them, whatever, and really make some fun plays with Warlock. I don't think it's as fun as Rogue or Druid to level, but I do think it's a fun class to level, and I'm going to put that up in the A tier. Now, last but certainly not least, we have the warrior. This, for anyone who follows my channel, knows this is my favorite class in the game. However, in terms of fun, when it comes to leveling, the warrior is not it. It really isn't. I don't think it's fun to level in a fresh classic. And the reason for that is the auction house is fresh. There's not many people at 60. You don't have a 60 to funnel yourself really good weapons and armor to improve your leveling experience. And the problem with warrior is that early on, without gear and good weapons, your damage just sucks. Plain and simple. Your damage sucks. You're constantly having to sit down and eat. Later on, as you get stronger and you get good weapons, this does change, and the speed of the leveling definitely picks up, right? The pace picks up, and it becomes more fun. You start to feel like an unstoppable killing machine. But I would say like pre-35-ish, pre-40 warrior, it's not the most fun thing in the world to level. You can excel at world PvP if you have engineering or free action potions and things like that, but when you're solo, if you don't have any support and you don't have those potions, you don't have engineering to help support you, it can be quite a slog in those early levels as a warrior. And for that reason, I think warrior is going to go into the top of B tier for me. It's going to be right above hunter, just because I personally like melee better. I feel like it's a little more engaging, the combat while you're leveling. But yeah, this is my tier list. We have rogue and druid in S tier in terms of fun, warlock A tier. Then we have B tier, which is warrior, hunter, shaman, mage. C tier is priest, and D tier for ret paladins. And I just want to go make sure that you guys understand that for shamans and B tier, this is for enhance and elemental. I kind of just coupled it into one. So let me know what you guys think about this tier list down in the comments below. I'm excited to jump into fresh. Go over to my Twitch, follow me, twitch.tv/hammerdance. There's a link in the description below. We're going to be streaming all throughout this fresh, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be a great time, and subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you don't miss the next time we post a video. And if you guys are looking for a guild, we're going to be on the PvP server, Horde side in NA. Jump into the Discord, link in the description below as well, and just ask for a G invite in the general channel. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching and listening in. I'll see you all in the next one.